Hello, my name is Andre and my PokerStars nickname is Mariela. This I want to present you software that I made. It's for limit holdem and it's for PokerStars. So with this software you can analyze heads up situations primarily in 6-max games. You can learn a bit also about full table games, but let's say that its main focusing on 6-max because this is the most important part of today's game. So I will not talk too much about this layout and so on. Let's just say that I imported my hands before, hands between 1st of May and today, which is 10th of August. And when you import hands, you can specify whether you want to store full text hand histories or not. I recommend that you do import full text hand histories because it can get very appropriate. So first of all let's see what this plus sign means. This plus means that you can analyze your top 11 villains, or perhaps also next top 11 or next top 11, but of course it's most suitable for those villains that you have most hands against. So these are my top 11 villains in this database. And now when I click on age 0, which means that hero raised from the button, if I clicked on villain, it means that villain would raise from button or from some other position, and this R means that there was some re-raise. If not, there was just a call from big blind. This is the default. And here I can specify flop, turn, and river actions. So let's say that hero raised from the bottom and then it was a continuation bet. And now this will take some time because this system now my program will go through all hands for all these villains, and it will put on a chart, which we see right now. This yellow, of course, is my stats. Meanwhile, here you can see stats of various villains. So first row is all hands. Of course, we can see that Pokali is by far the most common opponent, as he has so many hands. And now you can see that we all bet quite a bit in this situation, whether checking is a bit less often, and folding of course is non-existent because there is no bet against us. And here you see that when one bet, it's quite often that also alright, it means of all hands that went to the showdown, 99% were bet and 1% was checked. And if this villain went to the showdown, the same, how much of these hands he bet and how much of these hands he checked. Then this red it means active actions, bet or raise, and olive green means of course passive action. Poor bluff cat mate means poor hand, bluff catcher, mate hand. And after the slash there is about draw, so either weak or no draw, fair draw, good draw, which is flash draw, open-ended straight draw, and strong draw, which is, let's say, flash draw plus overcards or something like that. And you can see now how often did any player had something in specific situation. Of course, for passive actions, some players have actually 100% went to showdown when they bet. So there are actually no hands in this specific situation. But of course, this is maybe not the most important part of the solve. The most important part is when you click hero, or let's just say that I made another continuation bet on the turn, and now if you go hero, now we're in the turn. Now whole dataset is presented to us. There are, 864 hands, but of these hands, 647 went to the showdown. Well, here are various stats. I won't go into that right now. And the dataset is presented here. Only 6 hands per page, so actually you have to travel either with cursors or with these buttons. Let's say if you want to go to the end, you press down, and on the end there are passive actions, and if you go to start, there are active actions. In this case, bet, whether back or check. So each rectangle, if we paint it red, of course, means that it's an active action, and in this case it's a poor hand, but on the other hand it's an open-ended straight draw. Only high card jacks with these 4 kickers against actually this opponent. They're well held on $1-2 limit, and I lost this hand. When I hover over my whole cards is set about draws. There is no flash draw. There is, like I said, open-ended draw with a single card. And here I can see that it's 2 flush on the turn. It's 3 straight 1 gapper, so quite connected board. It's unpaired, and as overcard draw I have only jack as an overcard, which is very weak, of course. And of course I can also see charts. If I click charts here and now I go again here, I can see that these upper charts are for made hands, let's say quality of hands, poor hand, bluff catcher, or good hands. As you can see, when I make active actions, there are quite a lot of good hands. Meanwhile, with passive actions, I mostly have bluff catchers. And if we see here draws with active, with betting, there are a lot of flash draws, there are a lot of very strong draws, open-ended straight draws. But if I make check, it's more gut shots, it's less likely that I have a very strong draw. If I click here on plus charts, I get on these charts combinations, so it means P, like already before, P is poor hand, B is bluff catcher, M is made hand, and after that it's draw quality, so we can see about active, about passive hands. Well, another thing which is, I think, quite useful, you can see hands only against specific villains. So if you click HV and now go against hero, again hero, now there are only hands that I played against Pokali in this case. You can choose villains here in this blue combo box. And as before, if you click on this hand, you can see the whole story about specific hand. Well, of course, it is possible to do some other things. Let's say if you want to see how did you do with Queen 10 offsuit. Again, you do H0, you do bet on the flop. Let's see now what happened. Well, I had it only once, and I bet with it, but I lost. Of course, I had strong straight draw here. Also, you can specify various things. Let's say on flop, you can specify, let's say, a free flush and okay, 3 straight, but with zero gap, so that it's most dangerous board. How did I do here? Well, no showdowns were found. Of course, because I have this HV on, I have to go put it off so that the system won't look just for hands with Pokale, and now go hero. And now I can see that I had 4 instances where it was so dangerous board. Okay, it is possible to do very different things with this, but let's see now about preflop. As preflop is also quite important, maybe a bit less than postflop, but okay, let's firstly begin again with comparison of different players. And if I now go preflop, again it will take some time. But what does this tell me? Well, first row is how often does one call from small blind. Then it's call first in, of course, because if not call first in, then it wouldn't be a heads up hand. Then it's about raised first in. Of course, small blind it's losest, and you can see percentage and the whole number of hands that I was in this situation. The same goes with button, cutoff, hijack, under the gun 6 max, and there are also stats for other positions which are of course less likely and less important. Then RRP, it means basically re-raise preflop but based on position. So here button raised and villain re-raised him from small blind. Similarly here, cutoff raised, small blind re-raised, and so on. And of course there are all these players and its respective stats. So green field is about defending blind, and in this case mostly with calls, and this red section is when players defend with re-raises from big blind. So this is a bit less likely, but especially against small blind it's quite useful to re-raise from big blind. Some players don't do it, so it's nice to see if so. Again, you can see preflop also for just one player. So let's say we want to see how our dear friend Tomakampi, which I have very few hands with, so probably he's not on this list. Let's see. No, he's not. So if I want to learn about his preflop game, I click this, and now the system tells me that I have only not even 300 hands with him. So because my limit is 1000, which is defined here, he doesn't come into this list. Of this, let's say 300 hands, he showed 47 hands, and he's quite loose. As you can see, he has 37 VPP with average of 5.47 players. We played on 1-2 limit, 1-4 limit, and these are his respective stats, which are not so important because so little hands. But let's say, what if I want to learn about his raised first in? I click on this, and I have to wait just a bit because it's a lot of hands. And I learned that he raised from small blind when he was first in with these hands. So red means pairs, blue means suited hands, and green is off-suit hands. I know it's here it's a bit reversed. In Equilab you have suited hands above pairs, but I mean it's not so important. Now if you go on a specific hand, let's say here KT, he raised from button, and it was against this player in right corner below. It's 29, 92 Gara, 42 on 1 to limit. And now if you click on the hand, here you will be able to see this hand history. Okay, we can hide it and click this one, RRP. So RRP means re-raise by position. It's 10 possibilities of this, so I included 8 most common in this first display, and others are in extra. Also in extra there are some possibilities that aren't covered in RFI. So let's say if hijack re-raised and Tomokambi was on cutoff, he did this with 8-8 against poker from Mach 7 on 2-4 limit, and this is the respective hand history. So this is defending big blind, of course, mostly with calling. Here is presented if it's raised from small blind, from button, and so on. Also for let's say not 6-max situations. And on extra, like I said, there are some things that maybe not as important, but you can always have them here. So let's say this is another hand when it was he had 8-8 against the same player. And if you see this, you can choose whatever you really want to see. So let's say, how did he ever call from the small blind? No, he didn't, at least in this data set. Did he ever re-raised when he was on big blind and there was small blind? No, he didn't, and so on. And for the last part of this video, I would like to just show you some very let's say not opponent related stuff. If you go here on stats, you can see that there are some charts, and this is how these hands are in these charts, and this is against within top 10% range, which is what you've seen now. Or if you go here, it's against top 20%. So let's choose top 20%. You can here go if you want to see loose ranges, you want to see semi-loose ranges, or maybe just top ranges, or maybe something in between. Well, let's say 35%. This is the range. Now if you click on it, so here you can see equities, but here are equities that are sorted, and first number is equity, second number is weighted equity, weighted aggregated equity. In this case is the same, but so AA and KK have both 6 combos, 6 combos, 6 combos. Suited hands 4 combos, and green hands have 12 combos. So you can see more or less very exactly how these equities are falling when we expand our range. So of course you can see there are 169 combos altogether, so you can see various parts of this range. And the same, we had 35%. If we go here, we can see those hands, those combos sorted in a graph, and you can see that well, AA is always there for comparison. So you can see that when you get very bad combos, it's quite the same, more or less. Here 7 free suited is only 5 percentage points better than 7-2, but if we go here on this first, you can see that it's a quite different story. These best hands are very different among themselves. And lastly, if you go here on chart, now you can choose hands. Let's say you want to see how KK, QQ, and AA are in, compared one to each other. So you can choose, of course, any combo. It's not important. Here you see that with tight ranges, 2.5%, AA is quite a bit better than KK or QQ. Well, of course, in this very tight range, AA is a big part of this range, so of course QQ it's only 50%. But if you go with looser ranges, of course here it's not so important if range is 80% or 85%, so I didn't include everything. But we see that if we go to 100% range, QQ is uh, quite a strong hand. So this is a very quick presentation of the software. If you have any questions, please direct it to Twitter or maybe email, and I will answer them gladly. If you want to download the software, you can go to www.pokerhammer.com and try there and see if it helps you with your game. Thank you very much.